Hi, and welcome to another episode of Money Talk, where we not only talk about money, how to get it, how to make it, what to do with it, but we also talk about how to make ourselves look and feel better. And today is no exception. Today, I have a really special guest on the show, and we're going to talk about, of all things, whales. What does whale have to do with money? Well, stay tuned because you're going to find out. I'm going to ask you to do two things. One, share this, like it, and subscribe to this channel. And stay tuned because we'll be right back. Linda gave me the courage, the confidence to move forward.
And after I was finished with Linda K's training, I was at the next level.
It's Linda K. But when you trust that piece of you that says, I got something to give, I have something to say, you know you've got something to do.
Get on your feet, shake your hands in the air. Welcome to the stage, Linda K.
And welcome back. I told you we've got something really exciting to talk about today. And I did say whales. Well, what does whale have to do with money? Well, whales are frequently associated with money. Sometimes it's a person with an impressive amount that's got something impressive in a certain way, like a whale is in size, like a gambler who places a really big bet. I can think of the old 1995 Martin Scorsese film Casino, where Sam, the Ace Rothstein, referred to KK as the whale. I think it was the first time I actually had heard about that kind of reference. In the broader terms, it could refer to a currency trader or to a large investor with sizable holdings of a particular cryptocurrency. But whales can be individuals, single businesses, cryptocurrency exchanges, or just that beautiful, fantastic, beautiful, majestic animal in the sea. So today we're going to talk about healing and connection and inner peace with our special guest, who is a certified practitioner of Dolphin Energy Healing and the owner of Whale and Dolphin Wisdom Retreats. Welcome to the show, Ann Gordon.
Thanks for having me, Linda. And I'm excited to talk whales. And we're not even going to
You
talk.
know what? I think any opportunity you have to talk about a whale, you're going to take it, aren't you?
That's it. I'm all in.
Right now is whale season on the West Coast. When I say whale season, all of the baby whales coming up with mama up from the Sea of Cortez, where they typically birth, and making their way back up to points as far as Alaska. And this is a fantastic time of the year to see whales. So if you are on the West Coast and you're watching, get out there and take a look and find somebody that'll take you out, like emerald keepers, or it's whale watching season. But today we're going to talk about whales in a way that I don't think most people even associate. And take it away. Talk to us about whales.
Thank you. Yeah, it is a great time to get out there now and see the gray whales migrating, and there's some humpbacks around. The beauty is California is a great place to see whales all year long. And I have been around whales my entire life. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest watching orca whales, and I have been leading my retreats since 2007. So I've observed a bit about whales, and what I realized is whales are the largest creatures to have ever lived on the planet. That means they're bigger than the largest dinosaurs ever were.
That's hard to believe. Wait a minute. Pterodactyls, T-Rex, bigger than?
Bigger than the brontosaurus. The blue whale can get to be up to 100 feet long.
That's a boat. That's a ship.
That's a ship. That's 2 city buses. That is, it's a long, long animal. And blue whales, the largest whales on Earth, many of the large whales they don't even have teeth. They eat on the smallest things like plankton, krill, and small fish. So they're the largest animals eating the smallest.
That is incredible. Okay, something the size of 2 buses long, and they would have to take down hundreds of thousands of gallons of this stuff to be able to be nourished and maintain that size. Because we all know if you don't eat, you kind of shrink.
That's right. But here's the thing. You never see a skinny whale.
No, you don't.
You
So
don't
wait a
suffer.
minute. I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
If they are bountiful in size, they find everything that they need to maintain that beautiful size. And we're
Exactly.
talking about abundance, aren't we?
We are. Whales represent abundance just by being whales, just by being who they are. And then there's so much to this in that they just are big, right? So they represent just by being abundant in size, but they have no problem eating. But a couple of things. Whales, the baleen whales, like humpback whales and blue whales and gray whales, all migrate, sometimes up to 6,000 miles from the usually feeding in the polar regions, both north and south. And that's where they find fish and krill and plankton in abundance. But then when they migrate to warmer, more tropical waters to breed and give birth, they're not eating because they
Right,
don't
but wait
have.
a minute.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, Ann, but when I was pregnant, I could have eaten the house. Okay.
right.
Right? And I still claim that I still have 20 pounds of that baby fat, but I can't say that anymore because she's 28 years old. So, but
Yeah,
thinking that this is unimaginable that they would stop eating when you consider that that gestation period and then the feeding of those babies, which they're feeding from mom. So
right.
how is that even possible? That doesn't even make sense.
I
I'm trying
know
to.
it doesn't logically in our human brains, but here's their gestation is about 1 year. So they breed and give birth in the same area. So the minute a female whale gets pregnant, she immediately leaves the tropical area, heads to the polar region so that she can eat, because that's the first thing she needs to do as a newly pregnant mother. She's eating in the polar regions. Then when it's time to give birth, and she will migrate down, and it may take as many as 2 months to get down there. She stops eating and makes that migration because she has planned ahead. She's a smart investor. She eats and eats and eats and eats and then packs on. Sometimes her layer of blubber is 2 feet or more. And so she has all this layer of fat. She's invested in herself and in her calf. And so that when she gets to the birthing, breeding area, she has plenty of fat to live off of. And, for example, a humpback whale feeds its calf between 50 and 100 gallons of milk every single day.
And wait a
And
minute, they're not eating
nope,
and they're feeding and literally losing weight.
losing weight. And when you are there, like if you're someone like me who's on the water the entire birthing season, which is about 3 months, the mothers that arrive are just like super round and fat, and they do get a little smaller, but never skinny. They never look emaciated. Their ribs are not sticking out. They're still big whales, just a little less big, but they have planned ahead, and they have plenty of that fat, that blubber to survive on. And when they're in those areas, they are not, you think, well, they're just going to be resting and conserving energy. I just got back like at 6 o'clock this morning from leading a retreat in Hawaii where it's breeding, birthing area for the humpbacks there right now. And these whales were not resting. We're watching them breaching and slapping their pectoral fins and throwing their tails around. And they're not just hanging in one spot. They're swimming around because they're building up the muscles of baby. And because baby has to then at 3 months old, 3 to 4 months old, make that 6,000 mile migration back to the polar region with its mom. So it has to be in good physical condition. So mom has to do those laps with the baby, right?
Right. Teaching the baby
Yep.
how to gain that strength and the
Yes.
stamina.
Yes.
You know, there's so many analogies that you can draw from this, and in reference to building your business and building your stamina for the
Right.
things that we have to do, the preparation and the creation of abundance. Where do you go with this with the whales? I'm just really curious where and how one channels that energy, because you seem to be channeling this, Anne.
Right. Well, let me take it even one step further. You're going to love this bit. So, logical mind will tell us, and many fishermen still believe this, that when there are more whales in the ocean eating krill, plankton, and fish, what would you think there is? More or less fish?
Well, one would think, okay, because I know you're going to
Right?
tell me I'm wrong, but my logic tells me that if there are big mammals out eating lots and lots and lots of fish, there will be a lot less of it.
Correct. That's the logical thought. But here's the thing. Science has proven that the more whales eating krill, fish, and plankton, the more fish and krill and plankton there is for everybody in the ocean, including us humans, to eat off
How
of.
is it? That just it flies in the face of logic. So we have to go beyond conscious mind
Yep.
to a level of subconscious. That how are they attracting all of this? Because this is what you're talking about is a huge attractor field, right? They're
It's an
attracting the
attractor.
abundance of this.
They're attracting, but they're also creating it. That's the power. So here's how that works.
Oh,
When a
great.
whale is eating, what happens when you eat? Well, you have to poop. So the more whales that are eating, the more whales that are pooping. And in the fecal matter of whales, there's a lot of nitrogen. And the phytoplankton, which is plant-based, needs that nitrogen. So they're feeding off of it. So there's more nitrogen in the water, the more plankton can start creating and producing.
How
And
long
so the
does
more
it take to create that, Anne?
plankton can go really quickly. It doesn't take long at all.
That's
So then,
amazing.
so there's more phytoplankton, which means then the zooplankton, which is the animal-based plankton, feeds on the phytoplankton, which then the krill feed on the plankton, which then the fish feed on the krill and everybody
There's the
else.
food chain. Yeah.
And
The whole
there's the food chain. And so the whales, just by being whales, create their own abundance. So if you're an entrepreneur and you are just being yourself, sharing your gifts, your natural way of being with the world, like you and I are in our businesses,
Mm-hmm.
that is how we create our own abundance, just like the whales.
So for if I'm going to translate this,
Yes.
whales poop and we need to too. But our abundance comes from not what we're expelling from our extremities, but literally from what our minds are creating and what our mouths are saying, and our energy, our belief system, the things that we're doing create that an attractive and the attractor component that we are talking about.
Absolutely.
It's just really incredible. But how do we use whales for healing and creating more abundance in our life?
Well, we humans we create all this chaos and these limiting beliefs and all these blocks around ourselves. When I'll tell you a little story.
Okay.
Put this into perspective. So years ago, I personally have struggled with the concept of abundance and money for many, many years. And at one point, I was living in Panama, married to a man down there, a Panamanian man, and who's a member of an indigenous tribe down there. And things were not going well. I was working as a tour guide out to his village, but I wasn't getting much work. And he, being indigenous, being the most discriminated against group in the world, it was really hard for him to get a job. And so we got down to literally 8 cents between us, which is horrible. Nobody should ever get to that point. So fortunately, I had a tour I was leading the next day, so I got paid, but it was just not enough. So I actually sold a lot of the belongings that I brought down to Panama and put enough money together, and I flew back to California, where I used to train animals for movies and television for over 20 years. So our plan was that I would come back and work and film, earn some money, and to go back home to Panama. Well, while I was in California, I had an opportunity to assist in a workshop in Northern California. So I drove up the coast. And as I was driving up the coast, you know how your mind wanders, and I'm stopping and I'm seeing seals and otters and all the fun stuff you can see on the drive. And I'm driving along and I look out into the ocean and I see splashing. So I stop, and it was some whales playing around. So I watched them for a while. Then I got back in the car and my mind just starts wandering, and I started thinking about abundance. And then I thought, in nature, abundance is easy. It's everywhere. I mean, the birds just fly around, and there's berries and fruit and insects, and the deer just puts its head down and eats, right?
Right.
There's fruit everywhere. It's just the lions have the savannah full of zebras and gazelles to eat. It's everywhere. So why is it so hard for us humans?
Well, I think also one thing before you go on with that, Anne,
Yeah.
is, the animals would starve. The animals have to migrate for survival. They have to find the watering hole in the savannah. They
Yep.
need to find, where they have to survive. Where there is a problem, there's also a solution. There comes
Right.
their food chain inside.
Yep.
The key here is that they have to move. The whales wouldn't couldn't birth and survive that cold wherever that Arctic,
Right.
wherever they go. The key here is movement, isn't it?
It is. It's being in movement and being willing to be in movement. We humans
Oh,
can get
no. That's not part of our psyche, and we don't get, no, I don't want to change. I don't want to do this. Or you're going to have to step in. You're going to have to go out and speak. You're going to have to go do the things you don't want to do. And oh no, I don't want to do it. We put our hands up. But yet in the animal world, the animal kingdom, the mammal goes naturally. They go with their instinct.
Yeah.
And so I think there's something here.
Mhm.
I'm fascinated by this, down to 8 cents, and now you're on the Pacific Northwest coast and you see the dolphins splashing and you start thinking about abundance. What happens next?
So I started thinking about abundance, and then I remembered an article I had read recently about like 4 or 5 American men from a big city in the US. They went to the Amazon and they got lost in the Amazon. And they were found about 2 weeks later, and they were starving. And I'm thinking, how do you starve in the Amazon? There's plants and food everywhere. But it was a perfect metaphor for many of us when it comes to abundance and money, in that it's really all around us. But if you don't know what it looks like or how to find it, it looks like there's nothing, like it's a desert. And so
It looks like there's only 8 cents.
it looks like there's only 8 cents. Exactly.
Oh my God. So,
Right. So
now
then,
hold on. The story that you're talking about, it again is very analogous to, you're standing next to somebody that's on a boat. He throws his pole in and he catches a fish every 30 seconds, as opposed to the one that's standing next to him and he catches nothing, right? You hear these world travelers out in the Panama or in the Amazon, the world and the country of abundance, total abundance, and they come back nearly starving. And so I know you're getting ready to tell me something really important. So listeners, listen up.
So I started thinking about putting us all together, and it's like I'm starting to see like a little light coming through the tunnel of darkness around abundance. And so I had been working as a freelance tour guide. So I thought, well, maybe I will just start my own business. So I got a really good domain name. I built a website that I had never done before. I put it out there. In less than a week, I got an email from somebody who said, I want to take your tour to the village in Panama, and I want to give you a credit card for a deposit. And I had to call a friend who had her own business. I'm like, how do I take your credit card? I had no clue. And so I flew back to Panama. I started this business. We had one of my first tours was taking the editor from the New York Times. She just happened to come on my tour.
Wait a minute. And nobody just happens to do that. Okay.
Right.
You created this abundance in this belief. You changed your belief system. You were willing to change. You were willing to come leave your husband, go back to California to what you knew how to do. And you find that piece within you that says, get out there, go do something. And you get this confirmation. And it is not a coincidence. The universe resonates with us, returns back to us, gives us the confirmation that we're on the right track. So that editor for the New York Times was not a coincidence. That's the universe responding back to you saying, hello, I'm glad you were paying attention. Let me just send you something really cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I started getting super busy with the tours. Money started rolling in. We made TripAdvisor Hall of Fame every year. And it was so funny because I'd never really worked in tourism before that. And somebody came on my tour and said, hey, we saw you on TripAdvisor. That's why we're here. You have great reviews. And I'm like, what's TripAdvisor? I'd never heard of it. And I had to go in and claim this is my business. So it just became super easy. And money was rolling in, and I just literally created my own abundance out of who I was, right? Like the whales create their own abundance just by being whale. I was a white woman married into an indigenous tribe in Panama with this unique inside perspective, and I love to share that. And I turned it into a business. And then while I'm there, of course, then I started literally pioneered the whale watching industry in Panama. Nobody was doing it, and it was super easy. And from there, my retreats were born. And now I have a multi-six-figure business, living my dream. Like I said, I just got back from leading a retreat in Panama that I was paid to go hang out every day on the water, surrounded by whales. My favorite thing.
You know, we often think about living the dream, and some people don't even know how to dream. Right. You had a dream, and you absolutely knew that that was something that you didn't have to go get a college education or a degree for. You didn't have to go get $1 bazillion to get a startup funds or angel funds.
Zero.
You just did not let anything stand in your way. You had an idea, and those ideas come to us all the time. An idea is born not only in one person, by the way. That same idea is born in other people. It's how we respond to that. What do we do with that information? Do we act on it, or do we just keep it to ourselves to go, that self-talk that goes, oh, that'll never happen, or that's too hard, or you've never done that before. It's going to take money. How are you going to do that? And then they get around their support system that says, how are you going to do that? Where are you going to get the money? So it reinforces that belief system that they're not capable of doing it. What did you learn from this experience?
Man, so many things. One, that it is easy to create your own abundance. Now, I'm not saying it was super easy. I'm not saying I didn't work hard and there weren't some tough times in there, but there was a steady trajectory up. And that it's also to, one, you can live your dream, you can live your passion, and to trust yourself. Believe in yourself, because that is number one. Because yeah, I had a ton of naysayers, you're right, and I had people in my family like, when are you going to get a real job?
Oh,
But
God, how many times has anybody heard that, right?
right,
When are you going to go get a real job and make some real money?
yes,
And now you're going to exchange time for money. But what you're doing now is you're getting paid to live your dream.
I'm getting paid to live my dream, and I never let anybody out there in the world say, I mean, they could say no all day long, but I wasn't going to believe, I wasn't going to let it in. I'm just like, okay, just watch me.
Part of our growth and part of our challenge is to take that step. As they say, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, the
Yep.
first step. And yet, in every step that we take, we find that there's a challenge. There's going to always be challenges.
Mm-hmm.
The first challenge that you got wasn't probably, how am I going to do this? You just decided, I'm going to do this, and you created a website for it. Did you have any experience doing that before?
No, never. I just none at all.
And today it's so much easier to create a website from Wix or just a landing page where you don't even have to have a website. Today it's so much easier to do that. So for those listeners out there that are thinking about starting your job, leaving your job and starting your business, listen to what Anne's saying. Listen to her and listen to the wisdom and the words that she's saying. Living her dream, having a passion for something, having an understanding, and being able to monetize that understanding. Don't let limitations slow you down. Let your limitations be the challenge that you take on every single day. Now, Anne, I know that one of the first big ahas for you was as you were growing the business, a first client, having and being ready to accept money. So you get a phone call, she tells you, I want to do this tour, and here's my credit card. So as an entrepreneur, what do we have to be ready to do if we're going to run or live our dream?
Yeah, we have to say, yes, okay, here's a link, pay me the money, right? Here's how you have to set yourself up to receive the money. I didn't know how to take a credit card at the time, but I didn't let that stop me. I picked up the phone to a friend who I knew could tell me how. She did, and within one day I had it all set up, and I was able to call that person back, that client, and say, okay, here's the amount of the deposit, and what's your credit card number? I'm ready.
Oh my God. And listen, today it's even easier. When you started this back in the day, you had to maybe get a merchant account and get all kinds of things set up. We as entrepreneurs today don't know how to do something, but YouTube, Google, going to the bank and finding how can I accept payments in the fastest way? Because if you have an idea and you want to monetize it, set it out there, set your intention out there, talk to everybody that you hear that will listen to you. This is what I do. Put your word forth, put it out there. And as it starts to return to you, be prepared to take money. Be prepared. You can get it in Zillow, you can, or Zelle, you can get it in PayPal, you can get it in your CRMs, you can get it, just figure it out. You get the little square. I mean, there are so many ways for us to receive money. It's like the universe is saying, hey, I got an endless supply of it. Could you all just get ready to receive it?
Yeah, it's like, remember that whale with that huge ball of fish and bait ball of fish or plankton, or the lion on the savannah going, I wonder if I'll find a zebra today. No, it's like, which zebra do I want to chase today?
Right. But there's a piece of that. It's called preparation. So in that preparation, right? So maybe it's the hunger that, because the lion is not going to feed if it's not hungry, right? And it's the lioness that's going out and doing the hunting. So, right.
True.
So she's looking at opportunity, whether she's got cubs to feed or she's got a hairy old guy sitting behind her going, I'm hungry, baby. What you got to eat? Right? It's that preparation, because if you don't have that hunger, you won't look.
Yeah.
If you're not hungry, if you weren't hungry, and would you have done what you did?
I wouldn't have put so much. No, I would have like, well, I don't know. If you're just like kind of coasting along, right? You can coast along your entire life, but is
Amen,
it
sister.
right?
Amen.
You can coast along and work some job that you don't really like and it's not fulfilling and you're counting your days to your paid vacation. But is that really how you want to live?
Not me,
No,
not me, and obviously not you.
no.
So preparation, that desire, the desire has to live there. So that either comes from necessity or
Yep.
from I have an idea and I'm going to move with it, right? Out of necessity, I got to move, because if I don't go find the next watering hole, we're going to die here. If I
Yep.
don't go down to the warmer waters, I won't be able to birth the whale. If I
Right.
don't, whatever it is that instinctively they understand, we hear it too. And why don't we get that message, Ann?
Well, and here's the thing. I think for one thing, from in my case, I didn't start my business for the money. I started it for the passion. I started it
You
for
know,
the
the passion is a good thing to get you started, but it won't feed you. And it's not a
oh,
good way to run your business, as we all know. But you germinated a seed. I remember doing this when I had absolutely no money. And I
right.
thought, how am I going to make money?
Yeah,
I didn't think about how much can I make on it. I thought, what do I know a lot about? And for
right.
me, it was dogs. Turns out it was dogs. And I just watched the newspaper. You may remember what those actually looked like, newspapers that had want ads.
Yes.
And I said, and I started, an idea was born. Dial a dog, get the dog you want for Christmas and have Santa deliver it. Okay. And it fed me for 2 years. The
Nice.
next idea was, people are having money problems. How do I help them do that? It's the same way that I fixed my own problem with money problems, a little bit at a time, a chunk at a time, a bite at a time. And I said, well, there's a business in this.
Yep.
Fiscal fitness was born out of this, which I sold. So when you have an idea, it isn't just enough to have a passion on it, is it?
No, but that's what carries you through when it's tough, and that's what keeps you moving forward. And you have to be able to fund your passion with that, right? It has to
Yep.
be able to fund your life. You should not be the best expert in something and starving to death. That does not serve you. It doesn't serve the world. It doesn't serve your clients, your
So
customers.
what gets in the way of, now I'm hearing the passion because that's what gets you out of bed in the morning. That keeps you from hitting the snooze 2, 3, 5 times, right? You
Yep.
go, I've got things to do today, and there are people that I've got scheduled that to go talk to, and I've got an idea that I'm going to go call on this.
Mhm.
Frequently, though, if that passion is not strong enough, we have to really rely on our why. Why?
Yeah.
For me, my why has changed several times. I don't know about you, but for me, my why changed when I was a solo, when prior to having my child. I had different whys, right? Why I wanted to do something. I wanted to be on a stage. I wanted to perform with top names, right? And then as I got that child, and life-changing events can spur that why to why you have to do something. For me, my why was that little 5-year-old. She sat on my desk every single day looking at an adoring mommy with that cute little smile of hers, with one tooth missing. And she'd have been happy to have mac and cheese for the rest of her life, actually through the rest of her high school career. But I knew that if that's all I could afford, I was letting her down. I wasn't preparing her for college. I wasn't preparing her for life. So passion and why need to work together.
Absolutely. And I've never had a child, but so my passion is the transformation in the lives that I touch through my work.
Talk about that.
I'll talk about it with a story, and that is I had a woman who came on. I do a retreat every year with the gray whales in Baja, Mexico, that come right up to the boat to let us touch them and even kiss them. It's amazing, the most amazing experience. And this woman came on a retreat. I didn't know her. She was referred by a previous client, and she had fun on the retreat. She didn't share much about herself, a little quiet. But on the last day of the retreat, she told us that 7 years before this retreat, her husband and the family dog had been killed in a horrible car accident where the car burst into flames and they couldn't get out. And the worst part was she was 2 cars behind and saw the whole thing. I can't even imagine the horror of that. But what she told us that day after this retreat with the gray whales was it was the first time in 7 years that she felt happy again. That is why I do what I do.
That is a transformation. And I can't imagine the horror of not being able to do anything that you see like a movie happening in front of you.
Right.
That is so powerful. You know, we never know why people come into our lives. We never know, you know, what is their journey about until they're, you know, willing to step up and step in or lean in and share it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've had all kinds of stories from not only the referrals and the recommendations, but from the comments that people leave behind. You couldn't have gotten to be top of TripAdvisor, you know, for not having an incredible experience.
Yeah.
The experience that you're sharing with them is the experience that you share that you have yourself on a daily basis and part of your practice. How are you putting that into your retreat?
Well, the beauty is the dolphins and the whales do it. I don't have to do much facilitating at all. That I have discovered that just by spending time with whales, especially if it's over more than a day, that just by being immersed in their energy and their presence, that it beautifully, gently releases what no longer serves. It helps bring people back to their true nature. It helps them remember their passion. I mean, I have a woman who comes on a retreat with me at least once a year, and she works a corporate job, but coming on my retreat, she remembered this passion she had, this dream of writing a novel. She went home after that retreat and did not write one novel. She wrote 3 novels, a series. They were for tween girls, and they're really fun, powerful, like empowering, stepping into their confidence books. They're super fun. So that's the kind of beauty and transformation that spending time with dolphins and whales can do for you.
Incredible. Incredible. Now, you also do these services or these courses. You have a 21-day dolphin and whale wisdom course. What do you teach in that?
Well, there's so much. I mean, we've talked about the whales representing abundance, and I teach that in there. Dolphins represent joy and play.
And they are playful. They're definitely playful, right?
Well, the other thing that's fun is the minute, if you're on a boat and a dolphin shows up, they're
already racing the boat.
Right there. It's impossible not to smile.
Right.
And people start getting very childlike and playful. I've seen grown men burst into song when a dolphin shows up. And it's just super fun because we adults don't play nearly enough.
No, we get way too serious too fast. And especially it's part of our Western culture, though, isn't it, Ann?
It totally is. And so they bring that out in us. And that each species has a little bit of a different teaching. Like the gray whales represent forgiveness because they were known as the devilfish by the whalers. When they were hunted, they were the only species that would fight back against the whalers, that would be aggressive. All the other species would just try and flee. And so now they're the only species of whales that literally approach boats to be touched. So
it's as if they were transformed too, Anne.
they have forgiven the human race for bringing them almost to the brink of extinction. So they embody this forgiveness that if a mother gray whale brings you a newborn calf and pushes it up for you to touch, how can you not bathe in that energy of forgiveness and forgive because we all hold stuff against ourselves, right? How can we not forgive ourselves if a whale forgives us for almost killing their entire species?
Almost wiping them out to extinction.
Yep.
So true. Oh my goodness. So you do a lot of different exercises, pretend moments. You do a lot of things in this. Talk us through what that is about and why you do it, and maybe even give us a little hint about it.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, I'm a certified Dolphin Energy Healer, right? So it has been proven that people can have spontaneous healings from chronic back pain, or tumors can disappear in the presence of dolphins or whales. If clinically depressed people have gone out to swim with wild dolphins, after one swim, they come back functional, which is amazing. But I have been able to tune in and connect with them and be able to energetically send that healing out to my clients. And I can even do it group. I just close my eyes. The dolphins and whales send me powerful messages. And what's beautiful is pardon the pun, they dive deep into exactly where you need to know. They go to, when we look at Western medicine, we're also often treating the symptoms.
That's right.
Right? They go right to the
big
source.
pharma in business, right?
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But they go right to the source, because most of our dis-ease comes from an emotional source. Like we've shut down, or we're fighting, we're frustrated, whatever it is.
Resentment.
Exactly. Anger, sadness.
We've also disconnected from who we are, truly who we are as source, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So here's a fun thing about dolphins and whales. If you want to get into the source and woo-woo a little bit.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
Let's go there. Let's go there. So that the dolphins and the whales breathe through their blowhole. Where is their blowhole located? Right in the center of their head.
At our crown chakra.
Right at the crown chakra. That means with every single breath, they are clearing their crown chakra and then inhaling in straight energy and wisdom from source. Every single breath.
Wow. And I have never thought of that.
No, they told me that. I learned it from them. It's one of those things where it's like, when they told me, it's like, well, of course, that makes perfect sense.
Correct. It does.
Now, here's the other thing about dolphins and whales. They are conscious breathers. That means they have to think about every single breath they take. We humans, we're horrible. We're so unconscious about our breath that we often are breathing very shallow. We're not.
Well, we breathe subconsciously, right? So it happens as a reflex in our body. We don't even think about it, but we stop that natural breath by doing what you just said. You're going there, so let me not distract you.
Yeah, so we humans can be very shallow with our breath, which means we are very shallow with ourselves. We stay at the surface level of life instead of diving deep within our potential of life. And with the dolphins and whales, they have to be conscious of every single breath, so that makes them more conscious of their entire being. And they know themselves as a soul, as a spiritual being. and they are not as attached to their physical bodies. We humans tend to think this is what we
yeah.
are.
Yeah,
But
this is
that's not
what we are.
who we are.
Okay, go woo-woo, go deep woo-woo on that one. I love this topic.
Right? So they're so not conscious of their bodies that when, for example, this is, if you saw the movie The Cove, it's a very hard to watch, but there's a scene in there where the Japanese fishermen are literally surrounded by dolphins that they are killing with knives. Not one dolphin fights back. They're stronger than humans. They have sharp teeth. They could bite. They could slash those fishermen with their tails. They do not. Because they are not as attached to this physical body. They can go in and out, shift dimensions at will. But here's the thing. Dolphins and whales have been on this planet for 40 million years. We humans have been here for about 250,000 years. We're just, compared to the dolphins and whales, we are toddlers in the world of awareness.
I love that. I love that comparison. Oh my God, that's crazy. You know, one of the things that I read in some of your notes also, especially you're aligned with the Orca webinar. I never really thought of an orca being the largest member of a dolphin family.
It is. Yeah.
They're actual
dolphins, they're not like, they're not sperm whales, they're not baleen whales. They are literally the largest member of the dolphin family. And they are also the apex predator in the ocean. Like, they can kill any other whale. They can kill great white sharks. They have no natural enemies. But here's the other interesting thing. They are actually equally black and white on their body. They have more white on their underside, more black on their top side, but black and white, which means they also embrace the balance of the dark and the light within them, because we all have it.
Oh, yes, we all do. Oh my God. And I can also think of the balance of, the belly facing, the as they're swimming, facing their enemies, their predators, and those predators not seeing it, but then protecting themselves from the sun as they're up on the surface of the water as well. Yeah. There are so many lessons to be learned here. I think that you also have something for our listeners and viewers to talk and learn and create their own abundance. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, this is a little workbook, and I actually am creating it just for your audience, Linda. As you are the first ones to ever get this. It's called, very special. It's called the Whale Guide to Abundance. So it takes some of these teachings and it works you through it, and it helps you to start creating your abundance and learning more about how the whales create their own and how you can create your own too.
Absolutely beautiful. Well, you've got so many things, your dolphin journal, the whales in Panama in 2018, wisdom from the sea, and all of your social media platforms. I know that people are going to want to reach out to you. Go get that one thing that was just created for Money Talk and get yourselves talking about abundance in your life. And I can't believe our time is up. I want to thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you so much, Linda. It's always fun to hang out with you. And it was a real honor to share.
Let's go whale watching. I'm ready.
Yeah, let's do it. We're neighbors, so we're going to do it.
All right. And thank you all for joining us today. It was a lot of fun to hear about things that we just kind of take for granted. Hope you found something meaningful in this session today. See you next time. Do you like to talk about money? If you do and you'd like to be a guest, contact me at lindak360.com.